Good evening. So, there's a lot that has been happening. I have been doing a lot of writing, and I believe I shared this, but I have an opportunity to finally launch this ministry that I've been working on, Phalanx Ministries, as it's called. And I am working on stage one. I've got the first 3 weeks of the study written. I've got five, three, four, five, six. Yeah, I've got 5 more weeks to write. So starting week 4 tomorrow morning, hopefully. And my goal is to be done writing. It was by the first week of December. This last week ended up being a little bit more hectic than I was planning, so I got a little bit behind. But it's been good. Been finding new insights that I was not aware of or never kind of put together, and working with trying to just get a phone conversation with the pastor. We're both extremely busy, and I know it's a busy time for him as he's going into the Christmas season, and so it's been exciting. It's been really good, and again, just this has been in the works for about 10 years, and finally having the opportunity has been very exciting and very humbling, because as I'm writing these lessons out, is a lot of what is being written is like, yeah, that applies to me too. And so it's a reminder of this is everything you've been through, and you do have a story worth sharing. And so being grateful for what God has brought me through to allow me to be able to speak into other men. And the more I think it's more and more relevant. And so we were at this past weekend, my wife's cousin was in their high school play. They did Cinderella. And it was a slightly different version of Cinderella than I've ever seen. It had an additional uh there was the ball, and then they did a banquet, and she didn't lose her shoe until the banquet. And anyway, so the that's not the issue I have, but the prince in the play was not very princely, and it was kind of frustrating to watch, because this is the way that I think men have been portrayed over and over and over for the last several decades at least. But in the play, the prince was very kind of insecure, very uncertain, very passive. And it's not until he talks to Cinderella and he's like, "Tell me what to do and tell me what I should do." And so he is looking to her for guidance into masculinity, for guidance into manhood, and for affirmation of his masculinity. And this is the way that men have been portrayed in media more and more. It's men are portrayed as either insecure and incapable of being men and needing women to validate our masculinity, which is not possible because women are feminine. And so femininity cannot bestow masculinity. It's not possible in the same way masculinity cannot bestow femininity. But that men have been portrayed as this immature, insecure, we need women to guide us, to tell us what to do. Ultimately, like, men have been portrayed as giant children, and who need the wife to step in and be the parent role. And if you think about, the different like TV sitcoms, this is like the King of Queens comes to my mind, and Doug is portrayed as this big man child that needs his wife to step in and tell him what to do. And The Office, you have the classic Michael Scott figure who is a giant man child. And going back and back, even I was thinking Home Improvement with Tim Allen back in the 90s. It was kind of that same way as he's this kind of immature and irresponsible adult who has his wife to kind of put him in place and keep him on track. And over and over and over for the last several decades, that's how the majority of men have been portrayed. And it has done a great misservice to masculinity and to men. And so that is a lot of what this ministry is aimed at, is helping men to realize this is who God has created us to be. And it is aimed initially at finding healing and repentance, and then moves on to identity, passion, and legacy. And so we begin with allowing God to bring healing and allowing ourselves, or bringing ourselves to the point of repentance, so that God can begin to build us and shape us into the men that He has created us to be. And so there will be some more stuff coming as the writing is getting wrapped up, as we launch this first. So the plan is going to be, ideally, it's going to be a 2-year program that we're doing at this church. And again, this is just kind of an initial trial run to see, does this work? What kinks need to be worked out, and how does this need to be played with? But I think the initial plan is like January to right before Memorial Day, break for the summer, pick back up like early September and go until Christmas, break for about a week, and then pick back up in, maybe break for a month. I don't know. It might be like September to end of November or something like that. I'm not sure yet. I haven't gotten that far. And then pick it back up in the spring, go from January to May again, and then break for summer, and then finish up September to November, December, somewhere in there. And each phase builds on the previous one. And it is ultimately about learning who God has created us to be as men. And so I am going to continue to knock out this writing, and I will be sharing bits and pieces of this as we launch, as we move forward with it. But I am nervous, excited, humbled, and a little bit in disbelief that it's time to move forward with this. So thank you for checking in. I look forward to the next several weeks and months and years with this, and just invite you to come along on the journey. And so thank you for checking in, and I will be back with an update soon.